Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the beautiful landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure we've come to this main road here, and the reason I've come here is because it actually features an ancient bridge from the 1700s, which is a unique architectural wonder here in the lands of Angus. And I was interested to come and visit this site because this road has actually been closed now for more than a year, and it was actually a main road that I used to use most days. So the fact it's been closed this long is a mega hindrance, not only to me but many folk in Angus. So I've come to see the reason why they still haven't made any progress with the bridge done here, where, like, obviously it's been a whole year. A main road like this, you would expect it to be open surely, even though it's an old bridge. And for sure it's repairable. So yeah, it's interesting to come and visit and document what is left of the original bridge. So there's a cool piece of history here from World War II, and that's the main reason that I wanted to come along here for a look. There's actually an old World War II Spigot mortar location here in the field, and that's the main reason I want to come over and have a look, because I want to see if the World War II history has actually been washed away in the storm last year. So I had to come from this side of the road to actually see it. Yeah, I'll be able to go into the field here and have a look. Let's just take a quick look down at the edge of the bridge, folks. Just check it out. Doesn't look like there's been any work getting done here for a long time. Oh, I love this bridge, the way the stonework is and the masonry. Yeah, this side they have got steel supports in to hold it up. They're lucky here because it's actually the area that the river doesn't even run. That's what makes it easier to repair at this side. And they've got a good foundation to put their scaffolding and stuff in. You can see they've actually got stones, like baskets there with their metal framing to hold this section up, and you can see how grand the stonework is. Obviously it would be a unique item for them to rebuild, but to see absolutely no progress after a year, it's a bit embarrassing considering it's a main road, folks. Yeah, look how grand this is with the stone carving on the side of here. Carved in, it's like the crosses. Back in the 1700s they took pride when they were constructing things, and it must have been amazing for the people back at that time to see such a grand construction being completed. Yeah, it's magnificent, and the way it spans the wide river here, it's just amazing to see the stonework. This will be big chunks of stone here that's come out below the old road surface, the bit that's fallen down kind of into that hollow. And then this here is the River South Esk. Yeah, I just love coming down here to take a look at the bridge. Such an interesting structure, and it's so rare. It's not just plain stonework, it's got these cool towers. Yeah, the River South Esk is actually an interesting river because it's a tidal river. When the tide comes in, the level of the river way back here inland by a good couple of miles actually rises, and that's why when the storms and stuff, the river here can get extremely high and dangerous. And that's the reason when they originally put this viaduct in, it's got all these extra arches, and even like a way over there where it's collapsed, and they had an arch, and that was to relieve the high water, because back at that time they realised the river could get that high. But the trouble is, nowadays the rivers and stuff don't get dredged and cleared out like they used to. Companies like SEPA and people like that, they're meant to be preserving the landscape and stuff, but it actually does more harm. Sometimes the people making the rules don't even realise how land and nature actually works. They think if you dredge out a river you'd kill fish and stuff like that, and it's just craziness because it was going on for hundreds and thousands of years. Most of the ditches and stuff are all man-made around here, and you have to pay big money to even clean out your own ditch nowadays, so a lot of them go uncleaned, and then the land suffers. And then when you end up getting high waters and floods, people cry climate change, when really it's the landscape management change that's a problem. And yeah, it's just interesting to think about that, folks. You can see the history that when you look around at the landscape, it tells you all you need to know. All the ditches are overgrown and clogged, even trees growing in them. And that's why when we got that big flood last year, places like this old bridge and stuff suffered. But people like SEPA is like the Scottish Environmental Protection Agency. But a lot of the things they do is actually the opposite of what you would do if you were trying to protect the environment. What they're actually protecting is their income, making sure there's plenty of it from the landowners. Originally it was the landowners and the first people building the farms that created all the ditches and the waterways and drained the land. And that's how they made green fields out of what would have been boglands and wastelands. So nowadays, not to clean the ditches out, it's just ludicrous, folks. And I hear it from local landowners. One gentleman, a farmer, he was telling me that his field washed away with that big storm last year, and for him just to put it back how it was, before he could even do anything, he had to pay £1,000. And that was for no assistance, no help, nothing at all, folks, just paperwork. And that's where there's problems like this. The climate change and stuff gets blamed a lot for stuff that's actually just humans making poor decisions. Anyway, folks, let's take a look at this World War II history over here. When Britain was a magnificent empire here, this stuff was built to defend this bridge back at the time when they actually cared for this bridge. They put in a Spigot mortar here, and this would have been built by the Home Guard and manned by the Home Guard. So I think last time I came to this location it was proper windy and I didn't actually have the windsock for the camera. So it'll be cool today to come back and we'll take a proper look at this. I'm sure it's over here somewhere. Here, this could be it over there. I did not think it was so close to the bridge. No way, I was thinking it was way back here. I can actually see it though, folks. Yeah, look at the bridge from here, folks. You can see the chunk that's gone. Obviously the main strength and the main masonry work, the most expensive part of this rebuild is the main side walls of the bridge and remaking the stone arch. But the lucky thing is, because it's not actually above the river which flows, it gives it the perfect opportunity for a repair there. You can get sturdy scaffolding in there and get the thing built, no problem. Here we go, folks. This is what we came to see in today's video. World War II Spigot mortar pit. And the interesting thing with this Spigot mortar pit, you can still see the remains of what would have been a little dugout circle here in the land. And then this here is a standard bracket for mounting the old Spigot mortar of World War II. And that's the reason you can see this thick rebar throughout the structure. I remember the first time I came here, I wasn't actually sure even what this was. And then I actually found out, and it's cool to keep updating the history over the years. And like, you can see the stamp on there from the British War Ministry. And that would have been a standard Spigot mortar, probably the metal piece and stuff you would get, and then you just build this yourself. The Home Guard would be out here constructing things like this. And I think the Spigot mortar just looked like a small rugby ball with like a bit of a cone at the end of it, and they just kind of fired it. Must have been like a grenade kind of device flying through the air. Well, a mortar obviously. Just like any mortar, it's like a projectile. There's so many layers of history at this corner of Angus. It's pretty cool for a wee visit on this video. Not only the World War II history with the Spigot mortar pit, but also the old bridge from the 1700s, and then leading on to the grand railway station of Dun, the Dun Railway. And there still is steam trains run from there to Brechin and back in the summer. Steam trains and diesel trains, and back when that place was in its prime, it would have been when the steam trains were hurtling up and down the lands of Britain. I love the character of the stonework here, folks. It's so detailed, even with like these crosses and stuff in the side, and then the arches, and then even the pillars. they're not just plain. Check out the shape of the river here at this point, folks. Now we can see the full arch of this, the main arch in the middle. It's impressive. Look at the detail up here. You can tell how many years it stood for the weathering of the stone. On this bridge as well, we can see a detail which was from this time period in stone masonry. See how each stone here has got a mark, and all the way up each stone has a mark, and each mark is different, and that's because each stone mason had their own mark. So at the end of the day they would get paid for how many stones they had actually carved, and that's how you can see the different ones, each one carved by a different person, and then when put together they end up making this incredible pattern. And then the circles up there, even with more detail inside them. It's just unreal seeing things like this, and document it on the channel. And then over here you can obviously see how much of it's gone. Wow folks, look at this, the original carving marks, the old chisels back in the day. And you can see how when the water's been ferocious here, it's been churning and swirling down in the hollow, the more that it took away, and the more fragile everything got, and it just kept falling in. It's such a sad thing often, the power of nature. And then you can see it in this bridge, it's actually had earth, that's been the majority. It's like clay, earth, soil, the majority of the road foundation. And then these side pieces, you can see how they're really wide, and then they get thinner, and then the little walls at the top, and that gives you an idea of the 1700s construction. And then at the bottom it's had a mega amount of stones. This is like what we saw lying in the pile at the other side. And then the arch, it is incredible folks. Look how you're almost getting like a cross section of the main road here, and you can see how thin the layer of tar actually was on the top. Wow, what a cool little historical adventure. And look at it here, these old pillars, it's just mad. The way this wall, this is the reason it would be difficult to construct it and like reconstruct it, but it definitely could be done. And like the fact this road closed, it is such a hindrance. It's perfect for me. Certain places I go, it's like the ideal road. The next time you can cross, basically there's like no way of getting here unless you go all the way to Brechin or all the way to Montrose, and then this was the only other way across the river. And yeah, it's been closed for so long. It was interesting just to come and see like what condition it was in. I was curious to see if there was progress, thinking oh it might be open soon, and that's been so long. But no, there's probably less bridge here rather than more. Up here I can even see on the round massive pillar stone there's a mason's mark on the side of it. They must be piecing together the stonework and potentially putting it back together like a jigsaw puzzle. Obviously, even if it didn't have the same incredible detail on this section, it would still be fine if the road itself was operational. Maybe because it's an old structure it could be listed and it may have to be built to the original standard, but even then, yeah folks, it just blows my mind. So that was cool folks. I was really wanting to see that World War II Spigot mortar and see if it had been washed away in the storms last year, and it was interesting to walk past the bridge of Dun on the way to that and just see what was going on with it as well. It's quite cool, and yeah, the landscape is just breathtaking. See, this time of year all the trees have like lost their leaves. See, since this road's not getting used, it's just proper deep leaves, and we've got the low sun. It's almost sunset. I didn't have much time today to come out and do an adventure, and the weather's been like raining and stuff this morning as well, so yeah, we're just making the most of it on this channel folks. Cool bit of history of Angus. You could say an abandoned bridge. It used to be a current bridge, but more than a year no getting used. It's abandoned there on the land. But anyway, I'm just about back to the car folks. It was a cool adventure, World War II history, 1700s history, and then to tell the story of the old railway station further along there too. It's cool. But I'm ending it here. thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next adventure, wherever we end up going.